So maybe you're thinking about moving to Cambodia, the land of cheap rent, amazing food, tropical vibes, and you living your best life. Well, yeah, about that. Because nobody talks about the other side. The side where the weather tries to melt you, the traffic feels like a real-life video game, and your quick snack turns into your fifth meal of the day. So in today's video, I'm going to go through 5 completely serious, and definitely not exaggerated reasons not to live in Cambodia. Some of these might surprise you, some of them might scare you, and at least one will probably make you reconsider all your life choices. Or they might make you want to move here even more. So let's start with the first reason. Starting with reason number 1. The weather is personally offended by your existence. And you know how in some countries people check the weather app before they leave the house? In Cambodia, the weather app just laughs at you. Because it's not just hot, it's what's best described as aggressively hot. I mean, you wake up at 7 AM and as soon as you turn the AC off, you're already sweating like you've been accused of a crime you definitely committed. By 9 AM your shirt has emotionally given up, and by lunchtime, even the locals are walking around slowly because the sun has turned the entire country into one giant air fryer, and you're stuck inside it. And then there's the rainy season. One second it's sunny, the next second the sky turns black like an alien invasion movie, and rain starts falling sideways with the force of a fire hose. You'll say things like, "I'll just walk to the shop quickly." No, you fool. You absolute tourist. That's something you never do. Because 5 minutes later you're standing knee deep in water wearing flip-flops that have now become tiny surfboards. But in all seriousness, the rain itself doesn't last too long, and if you wait it out in another 5 minutes, then the weather clears and the heat dries everything up. You just have to pick your moments well, when you actually want to go outside. But now onto showering, because you don't dry off after showers, you just become covered in slightly cleaner sweat. And honestly, after a few months in Cambodia, seeing the temperature below 30 degrees feels just like you've discovered Narnia. It's a very rare thing to see. Now onto reason 2. Your diet turns into absolute chaos, because moving to Cambodia destroys any normal eating schedule that you previously had. When you first get here, you'll start with, oh, I'll eat healthy and save money. But then you'll end up eating noodles, grilled meats, iced coffee, and snacks every 2 hours. So your self-control just quietly leaves the chat. Street food becomes an addiction unbelievably fast. At first you're cautious, but 2 weeks later you're pointing at mystery skewers saying, "Yeah, give me 3 of those, whatever they are." You start every morning with iced coffee, loaded with condensed milk and enough sugar to legally qualify it as a dessert. Then somehow by lunchtime you're eating noodles, barbecue pork, fried rice, a mango shake, and a random snack you bought from a guy on a motorbike because honestly, why not? And the best or worst part, depending on your view, is that there's food everywhere. Hungry at midnight? No problem. Hungry at 4 AM? Also, still, no problem. There's always somebody cooking something, and your body also completely loses the understanding of what normal meals are. One day you eat fresh fruit and grilled fish and feel incredibly healthy. Then the next day your entire diet could consist of beer, fried chicken and more Cambodian beer. And then eventually you reach a point where you start craving Cambodian food, even when you're back home. I mean, you'll be sitting in your home country, paying ridiculous prices for a sad sandwich, thinking, man, I'd do anything for that $2 plate of rice from that random street stall with the tiny plastic chairs. So the trick is really to never leave, obviously. Now on to reason number 3. Crossing the street becomes a trust exercise. In Cambodia, crossing the street is less of a traffic situation and more of a spiritual journey. There are technically rules, there are technically lanes, and there are technically traffic lights. But once you step outside, you realise everybody's just improvising. So instead of there actually being rules, it's mostly just vibes. Scooters come from every direction at once, like somebody shook a box of angry bees. Cars merge without warning. Tuk-tuks appear out of nowhere. Entire families of 5 pass just on one motorbike, carrying groceries, a ladder, and somehow a live chicken. And the craziest part? Nobody stops. Unless you're outside the city centre in Siem Reap, that seems to be the exception at least from my experience. But mostly you'll stand on the sidewalk waiting for a gap in traffic like a normal human being. But there is no gap. I mean, you could grow old there, start a family there, and become part of the local infrastructure. So the secret is, just walk. Slowly, calmly, no sudden movements, like you're trying not to scare a wild animal. And the traffic, somehow, flows around you. The first time you do it, your heartbeat sounds like a drum solo. You're making eye contact with a scooter driver, while silently accepting your fate. But after a few months in Cambodia, you become weirdly confident. You stop looking both ways, you cross holding an iced coffee, and you start judging nervous tourists from across the road thinking things like, "Look at this tourist waiting for safety." Amateur. Reason number 4. Your standard for sunsets become unrealistically high. One of the dangers of living in Cambodia is that the sunsets completely ruin you for the rest of the world. At first you notice them casually, saying things like, "Wow, that's a pretty sunset." Then a few weeks later you're stopping entire conversations like, "Everybody shut up for a second and look at the sky." Because Cambodia sunsets are absolutely ridiculous. The sky turns orange, pink, purple, gold even. Like the atmosphere itself is showing off. And somehow it always happens when you're sitting somewhere perfect. Whether it's by the river, on a rooftop, outside a random street food place. And most of the time when you're holding a cold drink and thinking to yourself why back home felt so stressful. And after a while, you become spoiled. Then when you go back to your home country, see a normal sunset, and you end up reacting like a disappointed food critic. Saying things like, that's it? That's your sunset? Where are the dramatic clouds, the cinematic lighting, and the emotional healing? Cambodia sunsets also have this dangerous effect, where they make you suddenly philosophical. You'll be sitting there covered in sweat after a chaotic day of traffic, noise and questionable life choices. Then the sunset hits and suddenly you're like, you know, life is beautiful. Even the most stressed out expats transform into peaceful monks for about 15 minutes every evening. And the worst part, you never really get tired of it. No matter how long you live here, whenever the sky starts turning orange, everybody stops still to look at it like it's the season finale of Planet Earth. Reason number 5. You might accidentally enjoy your life too much. And this is probably the most dangerous thing when it comes to living in Cambodia. You arrive thinking, I'll stay a few weeks. Then next thing you know, you're Googling how to extend your visa and questioning why you ever lived anywhere else. And then you'll blink and realise it's been 3 years, but now you're emotionally attached to your favourite tuk-tuk driver. Life just becomes easy, in a weird way. And because of that, it's a dangerous trap you can easily fall into. With a daily routine of waking up late, grabbing a cheap iced coffee, sitting somewhere sunny, maybe doing a bit of work, maybe not, because nobody seems stressed. And there's also nobody aggressively speedwalking with a Bluetooth headset screaming about quarterly profits. That just doesn't exist out here. Meanwhile, your friends back home are posting things like, another 12-hour shift, here we go. And you're sitting in Cambodia watching the sunset for the 3rd time that week thinking, was life always supposed to feel this relaxed? And the scary part is your standards completely change. A busy day will quickly become you doing laundry, answering 2 emails, surviving the heat, and maybe going outside for noodles later. And I'm telling you, that is one of the most dangerous games you can play with your productivity levels. And you start valuing things differently too. Good coffee, cheap food, random conversations, slow evenings, and you start sitting outside while absolutely nothing important happens. Cambodia has this sneaky way of making people realise they actually enjoy having time, sunshine, freedom, and affordable beer. Which is obviously terrible. So honestly, don't move here. You might end up happy. Too happy. So those were 5 reasons you definitely should not live in Cambodia. Because the weather tries to melt you, crossing the street feels like a live action video game, your diet becomes complete chaos, and worst of all, you might actually enjoy your life way too much. And in all honesty, that's kind of why so many people end up staying here longer than they initially planned. Cambodia isn't perfect, it's messy, hot, loud, unpredictable, and occasionally completely ridiculous. But it's also fun, very fun. And once you get used to the lifestyle, the food, the people, and the slower pace of life, it becomes very hard to leave. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.